Hi, Elaine Marolakos Edelson here with Astrology Mojo. I want to help you get your mojo back. We're going to be talking about Mercury going retrograde on March 13, 14, depending on where you are in the world. Come say hello to me. Somewhere I will see if there are chats. I don't see the chat. So if you're coming and you're talking to me, anyway, I'll figure it out. It's a new platform for me. Okay, so can you see this? Okay. Well, first, I just want to say, if you're new to me, in astrology, the planets don't do anything to us. We live in a cooperation with the cosmos. We are influenced by everything outside of us and inside of us. So when we feel motion and we're just sitting still in the chair, yeah, stuff is happening all over. Inside our chemistry, outside everything. But planets don't control us. What we do then is look at astrology as a lens through which we can decipher and determine what parts of us are speaking louder than the other parts. And when Mercury goes retrograde, it is not responsible for technological failures because people are the people. We are the people. We are the people who make technology. So sometimes things get overloaded. Sometimes things get clogged. Sometimes things are having issues or difficulties. That doesn't mean I think we're doomed because Mercury is retrograde. So we are in a Venus retrograde, Aries, then Pisces. We are about to be we're in the shadow phase of Mercury, but in astrology, but it's not doing anything to us. Okay. Just please understand that. Hey, great day. Yes, it is a great day. Welcome. Is it Lucia or Lucia? I don't know how you would type that. Um, Anyway, so there's a lot going on this month. We're also feeling the energy of the eclipses. We're going to be talking about that the next 2 Thursdays. First, the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse. Now, we feel a more direct impact and influence of a lunar or solar cycle than we do of a planetary cycle. Why is that? Well, because, you know what? Let me just move that over for a second. Oh, wait. Where am I? Nope. I don't understand how to use this program yet. Okay. Anyway, because the sun, our star, illuminates the truth, the path, helps things grow. We need the light. And when the moon, the earth and the sun have but we have a relationship and a polarity so that the earth wobbles. Okay. The earth does a wobble. And I learned this from Neil deGrasse Tyson, that the earth is on a bulge and it wobbles. Okay. So as we're spinning, things are expanding. The tide doesn't come in, we move to the water. The earth moves toward the water and away from the water. So there's a pull and there's a polarity. Sun in astrology equals the focus, masculine energy. Moon in astrology equals intuition, feelings, feminine, and connection to mother, and the flow of abundance. So when the sun and the moon are doing something, as they will be doing in a few weeks with both eclipses that happen every 6 months, I won't get ahead of myself. We'll talk about that next Thursday. We feel that the tides change. The water, we're mostly 70% water. The water in our body moves differently. We feel things differently. So when Mercury goes retrograde, it's like, just imagine 2 airplanes moving at the same speed in the sky, but one is further away. The one that's closer looks like it's moving faster. The planet's not going backwards. It's our perception. Ta-da! And that leads me to the next conversation, which is when we look at, I have this dated at, I think it's the 29th. Let me see, March 29th. So we're looking at all this. And let me make it bigger so you can see Lucia. How do I make that? Oh, there we go. New program. Okay. So when we look at this, by the 29th, we see where there's Mercury right there. It's in Aries and it's moving backwards into Pisces, but not really. It just looks that way from the perception of the earth. You know what? Let me put me here so you can see me. Hello. So it looks like Mercury is moving backwards because the earth is going at a different speed on the elliptic around the sun. So that said, we're going to be in Mercury retrograde Aries starting from the 13th, 14th, depending on where you are in the world, as I said earlier. But what does Mercury represent in you? You can look at what sign it's in your chart and look at where Aries and Pisces are in your chart. That's different things. If you were born with a Mercury in Cancer, how would that affect you? Well, you have to see which house is being affected. Which house is Mercury transiting? But in general, Aries is a go, go, go. Got to do. Jump off the cliff before, you have everything in order and the parachute on your back strapped in. And then Pisces is more of an energetic, feely, artsy, let me dream it into being. And so when when Mercury enters both constellations as it traverses through the universe, we personally have an experience. We're always having an experience. What's the experience? Well, it might be you stop your plans from action and say, I don't know, something doesn't feel right. Should I go that way or should I go that way? I'm retired now. Should I get a part-time job just to bring in some extra income? Or do I clean out the closets? Or do I go on vacation? Or do I just decompress from having worked for 35 years? So whatever is happening in your world, what comes up in a much easier way is your ego gets kind of put aside, which an ego is not a negative thing. It's a wonderful thing. So think of your ego as a personal assistant. It reminds you, oh, you have to eat right now, or, don't go down that dark alley at night by yourself. Okay. Let's stay safe. So, but the thoughts get put aside and the feeling state comes up. The feeling state comes up. So just as Lucia says, Mercury in the 5th house in Sagittarius, fire sign, Aries, fire sign, that's called a trine. And that's an angle of ease, and it facilitates the part of you that has an awareness. Oh, I get it. And so perception versus perspective is very important because perception is your experience. That's it. I say, my favorite color is purple or burgundy. And you go, me too. And then we look at what we're talking about and it's never going to be the same color ever, 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 ever. We will never have the same reality as someone else, but we will perceive, oh, you like a royal purple. I like a lavender, pinky purple. So that's perspective, gaining perspective on your perception. And so what comes up is realizing during this time frame, March 13th through April 7th, first in Aries, then Pisces, the dreams that you have, literal daydreams, night dreams, when your awareness is in a different place. That's all. It's not on the physical form. And believe me, when I say when you sleep and you dream, yeah, you're working out issues, you're gathering information and intel, you're communing with spirits, with like-minded individuals, you're time traveling, because there's no such thing as time in your sleep. To the body there's a rhythm, but your soul expands and you go explore. And you have different experiences. That's just as real as your waking state. So when Mercury is retrograde, what's the perception about, oh, my day? You wake up in the morning. Let's be practical. You wake up in the morning and you go, oh, I'm just so tired. Maybe I need to eat better. I should probably start working out. So the thoughts start coming up based on the feeling that you have in your body. And during this time, especially through the 29th, right now, today we are March 6th, 2025, but through the 29th, we're going to be feeling either lost in a project, like, I love this, got to get it going, got to get it on, let's get it together, or we're going to have difficulty pursuing something because we're not certain if this is the right way to go. And as I said to someone this morning, let's not always assume we have every answer, because by the time we get into Mercury in Pisces, we will already be in the eclipse energy. We're already in Venus retrograde. Neptune will be entering Aries. I mean, a lot is changing in the universe. We see it on the TV. If you watch it, turn it off and do something creative, do something fun, and start to create a reality that says, I see what's happening out there, but that's not my reality. I feel for those people in that situation. I will do what I can. I'll donate money, time, energy. I'll say prayers. I'll meditate. But this, in my reality, I need to do something different. And I need to start trusting. As I said to this person this morning, it's important that you not put limitations on your expansion. Okay, I want to get a part-time job, says this person. I think I'll do that because that's what I've been doing for 25 years or whatever. And I said, okay, is that what you want to do? I don't know, but it's what I know. And this is how much they pay. If I could do it part-time. And I said, okay, let's back it up. Maybe you could say to your higher inner being, your universe, your pure conscious love, which you are working in tandem with, let's back it up a second and go, oh, that's right. I'm in a physical form, but I am energy. I am pure conscious love. I'm a sentient, eternal, celestial being. And I'm limiting myself to, maybe I'll get a part-time job doing what I just did for 25 years because they pay this much and I could use the cash. How about instead you flip it and say, I'm going to let the celestial part take over. I trust in the universe, in my higher inner being, to bring to me the next best venture. What's going to come your way? Things you would not be expecting because your mind is limiting your experience and your future expansion. Because we don't always see everything around us, how it's formulating, what we're bringing to us because of our own energy. Because whatever you put out of your brain, you're going to magnetize it back to your heart. That's how it works. That's how vibration works. So if you want to create a reality, I just did a Joe Dispenza meditation. Go find it on YouTube. It's 12 minutes and it's for the month of March. It was fabulous. It was so simple and easy. And you start with the end in mind. It's the end of March. Look what I did. Look what I accomplished. Look what came my way. And he does some fun things with the letters of March so that your focus changes, not to, I know what I've done, so that means I know what I'm going to do next. Then you'll never have any change. You'll never transform. Everything will be exactly the same. So when your perception of what you're doing suddenly halts and you question or you get frustrated, that's because something's changing. Yay, hooray. So what do you want to do with that? I say, take a nice deep breath and exhale. And then the very next moment, you have an impulse. I know I said I was going to finish writing that email or getting that paperwork off to whatever, or mailing that package, la, 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 la. But what I really feel like doing is fill in the blank. I feel like calling that old friend of mine. And they go, oh my gosh, I haven't heard from you in months. Must be Mercury in retrograde. The past comes back. And that's why people say that. That's why astrologers say that, is because you pause, You check your perceptions and you gain a different perspective. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I love thrift shopping. I want to go thrift shopping instead of that drudgery that I was about to do. So when you focus on something that gives you great joy, what happens is you output a frequency that says you're in a state of joy. So what do you think is going to come back your way? Ta-da! Something joyful will come back your way, however small. It could be thinking about, no, I love the sound of that bird when it sings in the morning. And then it's raining or it's windy and you don't hear anything. And then suddenly you're not paying attention. You're washing dishes. You open up the door to do something in the backyard and you hear that bird and you go, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about that bird. I was just thinking about that sound. So whatever comes and it could be a phone call that says, I know it's been a while. We haven't gotten back to you. We had to restructure our business. We're wondering if you're still open for this position. What? Okay, what? So that's where we have to look at, what are we doing? How can we, everything goes RE. Retrograde means to step back. It's Latin. So in any retrograde, we've got right now, what do we have? We have a Mercury is about to go retrograde. Venus is retrograde. And that's about it right now. And the North Node and South Node are always in a state of retrograde. We're not looking at that. So when we do that, we say, okay, let me rethink that issue. Let me revisit that conversation. Let me renegotiate that problem with myself or with someone else or with an expert or someone else who might have had the same experience. But remember, it's never going to be your experience. Someone might say, oh, I shopped at that store. They were terrible. They didn't give me service. They didn't blah, blah. And then you glean information and say, I can definitely have a different experience. But if your body is resonating with what they say, you have to ask yourself, oh, maybe it's true. Maybe it's true for them, or maybe it's true in general that that store has lousy service. So you start to change your perception and look at different perspectives. Does that make sense? I hope so. Come by, say hello. We're talking about Mercury in retrograde. And also, what's exciting about Mercury in retrograde is that when we revisit, renegotiate, rehearse something, I've got to talk to this person. I've got to apply for a job. I go over it in my head. This is why I qualify. No, let's ask questions. Let's do the opposite. And ask questions if you're going on a job interview. You ask questions of them, not just afraid that they're going to reject you because you don't think you're enough. How about let's find out if they're enough, right? So we're going to reestablish a new perspective of whatever the issue is. Does that make sense? Because when we do that, and then Mercury goes into Pisces, let's do that now. Let me just move that quickly ahead and ta-da. And there we are. Mercury's in Pisces by March 29th, 30th. And it's retrograde. And it's going to be sitting right next to Venus retrograde in Pisces. So that's a double perception reevaluation. That's where you say, I have been in this relationship for how many years? Whether it's a business relationship, which could relate to finances, Venus represents your finances, whether it's feeling safe with someone or someone who has your back, that's defense and protection. Venus represents defense and protection, whether it represents sexuality or sensuality. You might say, okay, I'm committed now and I don't want to have a baby right now. What can I do? I am looking to invest my money, but this person, every time I call them, they put me on hold and they take a different client. That's information. So you want to be gathering information during this time. And you might even have the sense that when you meet someone, whether it's for business, friendship, romance, financial proposition, whatever it is, I want you to ask yourself this question, especially because Mercury and Venus are going to be conjunct in Pisces, when have I felt this way before? What am I feeling? And when have I felt this way before? Oh my gosh, they remind me of someone I knew 10 years ago, and that person literally ripped me off. I want you to get the clues because, or you might say, this person reminds me of my cousin Janie, and I love her. You're being given information that is energetic before it's perceptual. And it's going to help you to determine what's happening now. What is it that's about to reoccur in your life? You are revisiting something perhaps, and it can be because I ask my clients when Venus goes retrograde in Aries Pisces, I ask them the last time I went retrograde like this, it was 2008 and 2009. What were you doing? Oh, and they have to think. Where was I living? What was I doing? Oh my gosh, I know it. And the first thing that comes to them is usually very similar to the energy that they're in right now. It's not necessarily negative or positive. It's just a recurring issue because we create patterns. So I want you to think about what is it that I keep bringing back to me in with my perception, how I communicate, because people will say, oh, Mercury equals communication. Well, first it's up here with your synapses. You are firing and wiring because of experience, different neurons that say, that's what happens. When I walk in the rain, I slip, I fall, I'm not going to go out. I'm going to limit my future because I'm afraid now. And so now it's time to revisit that. Are you sure you feel that? Are you sure? Or maybe it's some of my clients when they had their Venus in retrograde overview, and we talked about it, and they said, oh my gosh, at this time, 2008, 2009, I was being promoted to a position I didn't think I was worthy of. Venus also deals with self-worth. So everybody will say, oh, Venus, love, beauty, sensuality. Yeah, that's one of the many definitions. And Mercury is not about talking. It's about perception. It's about your belief system. It's about what we would call cognitive dissonance and confirmation bias. If you believe it, you believe it, you believe it, you will then send out a frequency that amasses like energy, and it brings back to you a situation that matches what you're thinking. And then you say, see, told you it was the truth. Told you that every time I drive to that store at 9:00 at night, they close. What's that about? Or I told you that every time I try to use a new application on my phone, it crashes. What's that about? Must be Mercury retrograde. What? You're powerful. We are all demigods, okay? We are creating realities with our perception and our energy. So I want you to think very clearly, and it can be a simple thing. It can be, every time this year there's like the bake sale at school, and I promised that I would blah, 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 and I really don't want to do that. Then don't. And you don't need to give excuses. You just, going to be honest and say, oh, I'm unable to do that this year, but I might be able to find someone who can, if you want to do that, because your guilt, if you're conscientious, you will have guilt, and you'll say, oh my God, here's why I can't do it, and all these reasons. And they go, oh, I feel so sorry for you. No, that's not the truth. The truth is you just don't want to do it. So don't. And so your perception is, if I tell them no, they're going to hate me. They're going to talk about me behind my back. They're going to blah, 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 blah. It's all chatter. What the perception really is I feel like I need to move on. Then just find an eloquent way to say that. This is not for me right now. Thank you so much. And if it helps, I'll see if I can find someone. Only if you feel like it. Because when Mercury is retrograde and you start making promises, what I have noticed is that it doesn't always come from a place of, it may be sincere, but it doesn't always come from a place of authenticity for you. So you want to double check, pause before agreeing to anything between now and April. Not because a planet is making you reconsider something, but because there's a part of you that is changing your perception. And you're looking at a perspective of, And without anger, because people will say, you know what? I'm not going to do that I've been doing that for 15 years. And then what happens? And now they expect it. Well, you set that up. So why are you so angry? Just be honest and say, I don't want to do it anymore. Or if there's something you do want to do, make sure you think ahead. And you might say, because you're so excited, you jump like a kid and go, oh, I would love to do that. Let's go there. Antiquing in New Hampshire? Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Crystal show in Tucson? Yeah, I can't wait. Before you commit to anything, commit to yourself and say, let me get back to you on that. And then in a calm place, look at your calendar. We are merging biology with divinity, which means we have a practical day. Now I've got to get the car fixed. Oh, I promised my mother or my sister-in-law that I would blah, blah. So let me rethink that. Let me work out a plan. Let me not jump off a cliff like an Aries energy and figure I'll strap on the parachute on the way. We want to be very mindful of what we're doing and the reason behind that. What's the why? Does that make sense? I'm going to move this. Let's see. Does that make sense? Because ultimately, you really want to be living intentionally. And that intention comes from pausing now more than ever before, because there is so much energy swirling that we get caught up in our old patterns. And those old patterns say, you got to do that. It's the right thing. Or they're not going to do it. You might as well. Okay, but are these reasons to continue the same pattern and make the same life for yourself? I want you to think about having a conscious moment in as many moments as possible. We're going to slip up. My husband and I were watching something on Netflix, and then we went to scroll through to see which season. And I wasn't looking at the top. I was looking at the bottom while he was scrolling, and I thought he was going too fast. And I was like, wait, stop. I just reacted. Wait, stop. And he's like, I'm doing what you asked. Why are you yelling at me? And I said, well, I wasn't yelling. He said, I don't like your tone. I was like, okay, you know what? I misunderstood what you were doing. I apologize for my tone. And then we gave each other 2 minutes of silence. And then he came over on the couch and he rubbed my feet and we made up. It was that fast because we have learned how to work with our impulses and to work things out. So whatever's happening in your world right now, people may react instead of respond. You may be reacting instead of responding because you haven't gotten all the information yet. So I want you to just take a beat with whatever's happening and feel it through. And if something doesn't feel right and you start thinking about it, you might make a completely different agenda or assumption and then stop to, instead of judge, evaluate. And the difference between the two is judgment is finding a way to make yourself feel better by possibly putting something or someone else down. They're so stupid. How could they do that? How could they be so evil? Okay, we're not going to talk like that. We're going to evaluate and say, that's not healthy. I don't want to be part of that. And that's it. That's an evaluation versus a judgment. Because when you judge, which is a Mercury definition, when you judge, and evaluate is also a Mercury definition. When you judge something, you alter your vibe and bring it down to match the vibration of the thing you don't want. And what happens when we send out a vibe? Oh, we bring it back to us. So you're going to get more of that. So instead of judging, let's evaluate what's happening. That means we're going to renegotiate. We're going to, wait, wasn't this bigger before? There we go. We're going to renegotiate. We're going to reevaluate. And either we renew something or we release it. And that could be as simple as, get Paramount subscription. And with it, you get 6 months of Hulu for free. And you might jump on it and go, oh yeah, I heard there's shows on Hulu that I would love, but let's research it. research it and say, oh, I see. I get Hulu for 6 months, but it's with ads. I don't think I want that. So we're going to pause. We're going to reflect. We're going to renegotiate. We're going to renew something or release it. And that's altering your perception, changing past patterns so that you could be part of a new perspective. And in that perspective comes healing. And that's what this Mercury in retrograde is all about. Now, wherever else you go on the internet or in the world and you hear, oh, it's Mercury retrograde, you better watch out. Your phone's going to do some weird crap. And I almost said a cuss word. Or you get sucked in the rabbit hole of, oh, these people and what they're doing in the world. And I can't believe, and it makes me, and then you're going to feel like crap. Let's not go there because that energy affects me. My energy affects you because we're all in this together. Let's hold hands and skip. All right, I'm going to pull a card. Let me see who's talking to me today. How's everybody doing? I know I've got people watching, but they're just watching. Let me see. You know what? Let's go to Yasmin Boland's Moonology. Even though it may not be the moon cycle that we're in, I'm just going to pull a card. And Lucia says, I moved from CA to GA. And I hope you enjoyed that move. I hope it was beneficial for you. Oh, your dreams need a practical plan. What were we talking about? Even though this says full moon in Taurus, green screen, can't see, but your dreams need a practical plan, right? So Mercury at Aries, we're rethinking the plan. Mercury in Pisces, it's the dream, it's the illusion, it's the ideal vision, what I started saying earlier. So your dreams need a practical plan. Do you still want to continue on this path? It's okay to say no. You're here, not out of obligation. You chose to be here on this earth. And it's not like saying, well, I'm going to quit that job just because they're not paying me what I want. But if you choose to leave an industry or a position, you think it over, you talk to the people, you let them know I'm giving my notice. Because no extremes. Hi, Margaret. No extremes. Does that make sense? We have a tendency to jump to something, a conclusion, energetic protection. Confidence is your key to success as well. And we're not in a new moon in Leo. Actually, I'll tell you what we are in on the 6th. Where's the moon? Second quarter moon is in Gemini. Second quarter moon in Gemini. So you want to have that feeling of renewal, of I can change my mind. And if I change my mind, I change my experience. And if I change my experience, I'm not going to sing it, but I want to, a whole new world. A whole new world. Okay, I started, but I stopped. Makes sense, right? Okay, so things are not happening to you. You are creating your reality with every thought you think and send out a beacon. And every vibration that comes back your way is either going to be a shock to your system or validation of what you've been thinking. Either way, it's up to you to decide if it's for you. No one else can tell you that. So be present in as many moments as possible and tell yourself that the moment that you believe that you are connected to a higher source of energy and you are you're an extension of light. So the moment you remind yourself that you are an extension of light, you activate like the direct line to your source. Direct line to your source, and you can get things done a lot faster that way. So that when you start thinking about something, it shows up in your email, mailbox, whatever, on the street. And you haven't seen someone for a while, and you're thinking about them, and you're thinking about them. And then you're taking a walk, and there they are. And you say, I was just thinking about you. And they said, Me too. That's called a coincident. Okay. It's not random. It's on purpose. Living life on purpose. That's what we're all about, or need to be. Think about that, ponder that, and join me next Thursday when we're going to be talking about the lunar eclipse coming up. And then the following Thursday is going to be the solar eclipse oracle reading. So come back every Thursday. Remember, reminder, folks, that most of the world changes their clocks unless you live in Arizona. Well, if you live in the Navajo Nation, you change your clocks too, but Arizona does not. And there are, I think, 6 or 7 other places in the world that do not change their clocks, more than that, actually. And on March 9th, the world springs ahead. So keep that in mind, because if you're on the Pacific coast, this live show will be at 9:30, but I'm sending out an email. You can go to astrologymojo.com and click on the get my free chart. It's not a reading, it's a free chart, and that puts you on my email list, and then you'll get an email letting you know what specials I'm running, or what the next show is going to be about, or anything else that I feel like talking about. Okay, thank you so much for being here. As always, I wish you peace, and I'll see you next time. Go have some fun.